Alright folks, welcome back. It's Nasos, and I'm high above our lovely little town on top of Tech Tower, which we've upgraded a little bit, made it a bit taller, and moved all of these here windmills up a ways. Can you tell why? Because if I have the block sounds on loud enough that I can hear other things, these things are kind of deafening a little bit. So I wanted to move them up high enough that they wouldn't be annoying me the entire time, and, well, they work better up here too. So we're getting a little bit more power out of them than we used to. Let's just circle around here real quickly here. Take a look. Oh, it's freezing. Yep, it's turning winter here again. All right, so that's the general look now. I was kind of thinking about putting maybe a dome on it or something, and then putting the windmills on top of that. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but that's where we're at right now. I like the aluminum scaffolding, by the way. That's what's up there. All right, jetpacking down. Okay, today it's time. Come on, jetpack, work with me here. Today it's time to rebuild the refinery for, I think, the final time. So, before I do that, I'll just tell you a little bit about what I've done so far and kind of how I got into where I figured this all out. I mean, if you've done this or you've seen somebody else do it, maybe it's all obvious, but last time I did Pneumaticraft, you just got the seeds out of the world and you never did all this stuff to refine oil. So there's a bunch of little stuff. Okay, so first we need the refinery itself, which is 4 blocks tall. Well, it could be 2 to 4 blocks tall, but of course you want to go all the way to 4, because, well, I guess just in general, you get better yield if it's higher. So if you have only 2, you get 4 diesel and 2 LPG, so that's 6. If you do this, you get 2, 3, and 2, so that's 7. And if you do this, you get 2, 3, 3, and 2. So you get actually 10 out of your 10. So better efficiency. Now the next thing is you can take diesel and turn it into kerosene. You can take kerosene and turn it into gasoline. And you can take gasoline and turn it into LPG. And most of these don't have any other use. So if I look at the use for kerosene, it has, yeah, you can turn it into gasoline and you can bottle it. That's it. Gasoline, same thing. Now, of course, you can burn gasoline. So you might want gasoline to burn. We'll get to that in a minute. And then diesel actually has one other thing you can do. You can make, where is it? There it is. I went past it. You can make lubricant out of it, which is used for, doesn't show it here. Well, yeah, used for a lubricant bucket, which is used in the speed upgrades. So you do want to be able to do that, and we'll be able to do that. All right, so basically what we want to do is this will have diesel, and we want to pipe that into a thermopneumatic processing plant, which can turn this from diesel into kerosene, and then we can pipe from there. Oh, right, I was emptying the system, so it's not turned on right now. Let me restore these just so it looks right while we're talking about it. And this one down here, come here. There. Okay. So diesel comes out of here, goes into this, and that can turn it into kerosene, which then comes out of here and goes into this. Additionally, you're refining your oil, and kerosene comes in here, so kerosene also goes through to this. Now, kerosene can be refined and go up to the next level, which is your gasoline, and you get gasoline from there. And then finally, that can be refined and go up to the top level and become LPG, which then A is your best fuel, and we'll see that in a second, and B becomes plastic. When you run it through here, we get liquid plastic out of it. And that's really the point of all this, is to get the liquid plastic. And I guess I took down the plastic mixer, but anyway, you want to get the liquid plastic, put it in the plastic mixer, and then you can get all the different plastics you need for Mekanism. And I got to tell you, I've gone through several iterations of this, and I was pretty darn happy of this one, and I was getting ready to record it, and then I learned another thing. There's like always one more thing to learn. So these guys need fluids, we talked about. They also need pressure, so we need pressure tubes. They also need heat, and different things need different levels of heat. So right back there, we can sneak in and see the vortex tube. We'll see it from behind in a minute here, but the vortex tube will make heat from pressure. All right, so heat on one side, fluid on one side, pressure on another side, and that's about it. Oh, and then fluid out the other side. So 2 fluids, 1 pressure, and 1 heat. That takes up most all of your sides. There is, 1 or 2 more, but anyway. So it becomes a little interesting. Now, originally, I had it laid out basically like this. Processing plant, yeah, thanks. I guess it doesn't really matter. But anyway, processing plant, pipe, processing plant, pipe, processing plant, like that. So all the processing plants were next to each other, and there was a pipe in between. Then we realized, oh, if we put the processing plants at an angle like this, we can actually pull out of here and put into there with that same pipe. So we get better use out of that. Now these guys, you might notice, are next to each other. They share heat and they share pressure. So they will have the same pressure and the same heat in them. And this one that makes the liquid plastic doesn't require much heat at all. So we can just leave him without a vortex tube. He gets plenty of heat from that one. And that works. That pretty much mostly, yeah, that all works. But I figured out another thing. The whole time I've done this, I've had this idea that we should pipe out of the refinery and over into this, and then out of the refinery and over into this, or down, and out of the refinery and over into this. And I just realized, well, all these extra tubes are just worthless. We don't need those. We can get rid of all those tubes. And then that made some interesting stuff happen. The other thing I figured out is, and this is the big one, if you look in the upgrades, you can add a dispenser upgrade, which will cause it to auto-eject liquids into adjacent tanks. So you do not need a pipe that goes out of one and into the other. You simply need dispenser upgrades, and that means we can take all this apart and stick those four right next to each other. Alright, so like I said, I was getting all the oil and all the stuff out of this, and I just wanted to show this. So right now I'm trying to pull diesel out of there. We can see there's just a little tiny bit of diesel left, 124 millibucks of diesel, and it's not pulling out. I just wanted to show that. So none of these allow you to pull out of an input. So once it's in here, it stays until it gets processed to something else. And then the output you can pull out, of course, but it's empty right now. So there you go. All right, enough talking in background. Let's get this out of the way. And let's see, I guess I'm probably going to need this chest about 50 times. So let's just pop you down there, put that in there, and put that in there. I also popped down a chest so we got a little bit more room here. So let's tear this down and rebuild it. I may, I don't know how long this takes me. I may cut some of this out. I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail because honestly, this all works, but it doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't really matter. A couple of interesting things. So these are regulable torches, and they're from Blue Power. You can set a power on them just by clicking plus or minus. And instead of 0 to 15 redstone, there's 0 to 255, which translates to a certain amount of redstone. So I'm using that one to drive redstone into this regulator tube module, and I've given it enough redstone to make the threshold 2.5 bars, which means this tube will never allow more than 2.5 bars down that direction, which is as much as was required to run these thermopneumatic plants up front. But we don't need that. Wow, snow rain. Told you it was getting cold out. And this is, we have this in real life. We call that sleet. It's sort of rain, it's sort of snow, and it sort of sucks. Anyway, yeah, so we're using that to set this regulator, and I had a different regulator for the refinery over here, and I had a different regulator for the heat over here, because these need a different heat than these need, and the processing plants up front need 2 bars of pressure, and so you go to 2.5 because it's a little bit of loss from here to there. And it all works. It's just kind of a mess, and we can do better. So let's get started doing better here. My frames are not good. It's probably because of the snow, so bear with me while it's snowing a little bit. Yeah, okay. I turned it to fast mode so I could break things faster, and then I just instant destroyed a bunch of hempcrete. Okay, so all of this basically is going to get broken down, and we're going to reuse some of it, but not all of it. Alright, so I went ahead and just decided to tear the entire thing down. We're going to build it from scratch, and I'm going to rotate it. It was over here before, and I think I'm going to turn it so it's on this side. It's going to be pretty big. I think it's going to end up about 5 by 7. So that's 5 back and 7 across, which should end up working fairly well right here. We'll tweak it if we need to, but I think that's where we're going to be. Okay, so build the refinery. First we need, build the refining plant. First we need the refineries. And again, we want 4 of those, so just like that. Those need pressure and they need oil, but they don't need, I'll move you. They don't need, sorry, they need heat and oil. They don't need pressure. Okay, so your input tank is going to be like here, and then we're going to want pipe here-ish. We can move that a little bit and probably make the input tank bigger, but something like that. Now we want micro blocks, and I was able to micro block smooth shale before, but now I can't for some reason, so I went with hickory instead. Okay, so the mechanism pipes support micro blocks, and we're going to use that to keep them from connecting to each other. You saw that on the previous build, but maybe I didn't explain why that was there. The issue is, let's see, let's put one here, and then we'll say, like this. Okay, so if I want to stop that from connecting around to each other, I can shift right click on this, and it changes it to push, pull, or none. However, if I come over here where it's touching another pipe, it says push, pull, or none, but it doesn't actually change anything. So yeah, little bug there. I presume it's just a bug in this version of Mekanism or whatever, but what we want can be achieved with the Forge micro blocks, covers, micro parts, micro blocks, whatever they are. All right, so we're going to want that. And here is the thing I figured out. Our refinery is vertical. So why, iPhone, why did I keep making the processing plants horizontal? Because if you make them vertical, you can put them all right next to each other, and they all share heat. I thought they would share pressure, but they don't. And I think I know why. Let's just try it really quickly. If they would have shared pressure, this build would have been even more compact. But yeah, that's not what I want to do. But anyway, I think the problem is, I think it connects on the bottom, but not on the top, is what it's showing us there. I'm not really quite sure. I don't know. I was expecting that to not even connect at all, but it does, so whatever. In my testing, they do not share pressure. I guess we could try that again once we get that far, but we'll give it a shot. Now, what I think we're going to have to do is run pressure down here, all the way down. You know, we'll do partial, and we'll leave one not connected, and we'll see if it gets pressure or not, but I don't think it's going to. Okay, now these guys need to be warmed up, and these guys need to be very hot. So in order to go from diesel to kerosene and kerosene to gasoline, these guys need to get to like 300 degrees Celsius. I'm just trying to remember. Yes, I did. I used blocks of compressed iron because when I didn't use it, these guys were at pretty vastly different temperatures, and this helps to kind of spread that out a little bit, spread the heat out a little bit. So we're going to do that. Now we're going to pop you guys in here. You know what? I can't do that. So we're just going to do it from here. And give me a wrench. Something to rotate with, please. Okay, so we want the hot side towards the front. And hey, that's good. Except for you're backwards. So rotate that way, then rotate that way. There we go. Okay, so wait, did I do that wrong? Yes. Okay. Thought I had it backwards and I didn't. Alright, there we go. Got that, and then you guys need pressure, of course. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the liquid compressor back here, and we're going to power that with the gasoline. You can actually power it with LPG, but we want LPG for plastic, and you lose about 20% each time you go up a level, and it turns out going up to LPG is not helpful. Yeah, I don't know why I'm looking for a different pipe. This is the one I want. Okay, so we want to come out of here. But we don't want to connect to you guys, so let's go ahead and block you off with more micro blocks. And unfortunately, I could not find a way around this, but we're going to have to go through here and through here. Oh, we're right in front. Yeah, that's fine. Let's say we're right above. Do I need to shift this? So our output is going to be here. Yeah, we're good. That'll work. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to leave this all on the top on this floor, and then we're going to just pipe the plastic into a tank and have the plastic mixer down there, basically, or in the floor itself, possibly. Okay, where were we? We were back here, and oh right, we were getting the gasoline hooked up like so, and that's not going to attach because that's a so that's an item transport, and that's a chest, so fluid transport shouldn't be any issue there. Give me that back. And one more. Okay, so we want to put the liquid compressor on top of that, but we want the lovely upgraded advanced liquid compressor. So little one that we already made, blue plastic, advanced pressure tube, which is why we need the factory assembly line over there, and the blue steel bucket unfortunately gets consumed. I think that's twice, right? Because this took a blue steel bucket and this took a blue. So it's got two blue steel buckets in it now. It's really good at holding. Let's say blue buckets are for lava. Yeah, because it does hot things, I guess. Okay, actually, before I put it down, I wanted to say the difference between these is bunch of differences. This one can do 20 bars of pressure, but we don't care about that for this build, don't need it. However, it generates 50 milliliters per tick instead of 10 milliliters per tick, so it's much more efficient. The downside of it is it creates heat, and it gets less and less efficient the hotter it is. However, we're going to put it next to the cold side of some vortex tubes, which A, will keep it cold, and B, will heat these up a little bit, which will infect things and stuff. Which will help that, because then these guys are actually a little bit warmer than they normally would be, and that's a smaller heat differential. So good stuff on both sides. Now I feel like I'm off one. Nope, I need another compressed block of iron. So let's get this guy down and rotated properly. And we're going to rotate you this way. And there we go. So everybody's connected right here to this one do job pipe. And this was the only other part I didn't like. You could go under the ground, but then you're digging into the level below you. So I didn't really like this, but we're going to have to go up over top and connect up like this-ish. We can move that slightly. No, I think that's where I did want it. Okay, so we're going to do that. That's all good. Now, what's next? We actually have one extra vortex tube. So instead of balancing all this with all those regulator tubes and all that stuff, I'm actually balancing it with the number of vortex tubes and heat sinks and blocks of iron and all that. Do I have? How about you? Yes, you have 8, please. So it's all going to get the same amount of pressure, but the stuff that needs to be hotter has more vortex more vortex tubes, which will make that side much hotter than this side. And that guy on the top does not need to be nearly as hot, so he doesn't have a vortex tube, and he just shares with the one below, shares his heat with the one below, or the one below shares his heat with the one above. Probably a better way to say that. All right, let's have a sandwich and think about the next step here. Okay, so you're going to generate heat, which is going to help cool you up. I'm sorry, help warm you up and warm you up. And you're going to get cold because this vortex tube and these vortex tubes are going to make you cold. So we're doing good here. This is going to make you hot, and that's going to make these guys hot. Now, initially, I actually had more blocks of iron going up the back, but it turns out a couple things I figured out. So these are really good at sharing heat from one to the other. So if I heat this one, it will heat all the way up to the top very well. Secondly, if you open it, there's only one GUI. There isn't like a different GUI for each one. So I think it just treats it all as one refinery, even if the bottom's a little bit hotter than the top. So this works out better for the amount of pressure we need and the amount of heat we need. The next part I figured out was this is all about things sharing heat. So this creates heat, and we are now sharing that heat with a block of compressed iron, which is really, really good at sharing heat. So that makes heat, that gets the heat, and then it shares it with the refinery, which is good. However, it can also share a little bit of heat with the air around it. So you actually get a little bit warmer if you do this, because it doesn't. It's like putting insulation around it. So instead of sharing some of that heat with the air, and the air is not very good at accepting the heat, but it accepts a little bit. So instead of sharing it up with the air, it hits this smooth shale, which, I guess it probably doesn't know what that block is, or it's just some block that isn't set up to share heat. And it says, oh, well, yeah, I can't share it. So it stays in that block of compressed iron, which makes sense because it's basically like you're putting insulation around it. All right, what's next? Let me look at it from the front again. Okay, so you're going to get the oil. You're going to get heat from behind. You're going to output all of your bits over into here. Oh, right. So because these are going to have dispenser upgrades, they can actually eject back into the pipes. And since you get a little squirt of whatever comes over and then it processes it, it could actually eject it back the other direction. So we want to set these for push mode and make sure that it never ejects back the other direction on us. Okay, that's good. Let me check the phone here and check my design and make sure I'm on track. Be right back. All right, wow. Yeah, so this episode is going long already. So I did a little bit off camera just so we can catch up, because I want to turn this thing on before I finish the episode. All right, so what did I do? Not much. I put on some heat sinks, and I put the plastic tank. This is the output. Almost. We're going to fix that in a second. And I put the little bit of oil I have left here, and we're just going to pop that down right there. So this is going to be our redstone control. I figured out, surprised it goes to that. Interesting. I decided it's better to, oh yeah, right. I'm gonna have to break a couple blocks here. All right, well, we'll do it. Well, let me just do this the easy way, and then maybe you guys know a better way to do this, but I'll tell you the problem I had, and we'll just run the redstone back here for the moment. I want to have Creech to go here, and then the redstone back here. So if you run redstone like this, it just goes straight past the compressor, and the compressor doesn't see it. You need redstone going into the compressor, like so. Now, there are blue power logic gates, but I've been having problems with the blue power logic gates. I had it hooked up, I had an OR gate here, and I had the redstone closer, you know, but it didn't work. Did not want to work. All right, so when this has any power in it, all right, this one needs an inverter, that's right. So the comparator will measure the level of oil in the tank, and of course we'll make a bigger tank than this, but there you go. So right now it's got 4 buckets out of 16 buckets, and you get a redstone power of 4 out of 15. And we want, actually probably want to run red alloy wire here instead, so that it's a bit, now, okay, yeah, so now we got power 68 out of 255, but that's fine. But one of the problems is this red alloy wire doesn't appear to transfer to redstone directly. So red alloy wire, power 67, redstone, power 0. So that's a problem. Actually, let me get rid of one of you. Come on. There we go. And we're going to put a block. Where's my shale? There it is. I'm going to stick a block here and a redstone torch on that to invert. I believe is how I had this set up. And then we're going to want another piece of... I'll move that. That's annoying, but this will work. So as you can see, as soon as I hook that up, this has some amount of power, which means there's some amount of liquid in here, and that turns off the torch. So we're going to set this to only run on a high signal. Sorry, only on a low signal. So if this gets empty, that turns off, this inverts, this turns on, and turns off our pressure. All right, similar deal over here, but I'm going to use the blue power comparator, and I'm going to do that because it can be put vertically. And that's not where I wanted you. And so I can stick it on the back of this tank, actually, instead of putting it on the floor like a basic one. You know, I didn't try putting a vanilla comparator on there, but whatever. We already have one, and that's backwards. We want the 2 torches facing the... there we go. We want the 2 torches facing this, and that'll tell us the level of plastic that's in there. All right, so again, we can't go straight from this to vanilla redstone, so we're going to have to go through a block like this, and then we should be set. And we can even just pop a piece of redstone on there just to see it. I don't think there's any need to do that. But so if this one runs out of liquid, it turns this on, and we get a high level here. If this one fills up on liquid, we yes, it starts reading a level, and we get power through this one, and it goes around. Now this one actually has 1, 2, 3, well, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regular old redstone to go through. So that is actually going to take it, not shut it off immediately when this gets some liquid in it, but when it's like, you know, halfway full or something, it'll shut off. So we can adjust that by using more redstone or more red alloy wire. All right, are we ready? Did I miss something? Oh, so again, we want to make sure that this is the hot side, so we don't want that to share with air. We want that to be insulated, so we're going to do that. I don't know about like pressure tubes and fluid ducts, and I guess they're not fluid ducts, whatever, the mechanism pipes and stuff, if that kind of insulates it or not. It's probably only solid blocks, I would say. But these are the cold sides, and we do want them to share with air. In fact, we want to put heat sinks on it so they really share with air. So this is good, and we could actually even add a couple more heat sinks if we decide we need to do that. Is there anything left? You know what? We don't even need a pressure gauge. We don't need a safety valve. We don't need anything. Now that being said, I'm still going to put a safety valve in the thermopneumatic pumps up front because they can support it. Well, I think we're good. Yeah. Let's kick this guy off. And then while it's warming up, I got one more thing to say. Okay, so we set you to only run on low. You're actually only going to need 2 speed upgrades from what I found. But I'm going to give you 4 just to get you going faster for video here. And as soon as we give you some gas... Oh, well, hang on. Let's turn on the proper outputs. So we want this to be pulling because these don't auto-eject. We want you to be pulling, you to be pulling, you to be pulling. And again, you guys are all going to auto-eject into the next one. And I'd like to run the output of this guy right here. But again, I don't think these are going to share air pressure, and I think I'm going to have to put a pipe there. So we'll have to actually go into the ceiling, go up and over, and do a little thing there, but that's okay. We'll make that work. All right, let's turn this thing on and see how we go. All right, so we're kicking in, and you can see with 4 upgrades, it's doing 253 milliliters per tick. So yeah, it's a little more powerful than the other one, and we're already at 2.2 bars, so we're gonna just take these out. Wow, I don't think we even needed those to get kicked off. Okay, so let's check all the things. You are making the refinery hot, which is good, and you are already up to 100 degrees, so you should be refining oil as soon as I give you some. There we go. So you now have oil to refine. You're over 100, and you're doing your thing. You're outputting into this guy who doesn't have an upgrade. Yeah, there you go, 20. All right, so I need the dispenser upgrades. So I got too many chests now. I think they're downstairs. I made them. I know I made them. Where are they? Yes, here we go. We need 3 or 4. I don't remember which. I think only 3, but anyway. Oh, and safety security modules would be good too. Are there any left in here? Yes. All right, so let's put a couple security modules on. That liquid compressor can output way more than these guys can take. But yeah, okay, let's leave that out for just a second. So, where are we at? Yeah, okay, so he's got 0 bars of pressure. These are not sharing. You got 0, if you look at the Whale tooltip. You got 0, but we got 0.7 here and here. So, yes, we're going to have to put pressure tubes there and there. And I move this one, so we don't need you. And that will allow me to put one more piece of, come here, smooth shale next to that block. And oh, I need to get on top of it here in a minute, so I'm not gonna put a piece of shale up there. Okay, now you're getting pressure, right? Yes, we're getting pressure. And oh, I know what happened back here. This was generating pressure faster than the pipes could accept it. That's why it was jumping up so quickly. So it's actually, the system's actually only at 0.3, but if you put this in, you make so much pressure. Why is it not showing? We're getting redstone. Why are we getting redstone? That's empty. Huh? I'm pretty sure that's the right direction. I'll have to go back and look at my other test. But yeah, we're getting redstone from here, so let me just break this for the moment. I'll go see what I did wrong there. And you're getting redstone? Oh, we're out of stuff. But yeah, we are getting. Oh no, we're not getting any power. It looked like it was brighter red here, and I thought it was getting some power. But okay, we're shut off because we don't have any oil left. That's an issue. I wanted to run it for a bit. I may have to go get some oil, and then we'll finish it up. But let's just take a quick look. Okay, so you guys were not sharing pressure vertically. They do share horizontally, but then it makes a whole different set of problems. They do share the heat, and let's give them the dispenser upgrade. So they never even got enough to do one round. Okay. You know what? We can't do much about this until we have. And you don't need to auto eject, but I'm going to give you a security upgrade because you're at the top of the stack instead of the bottom. So if we end up with any pressure differential, you guys both have security upgrades. This should be done. This should all work, and I think all we need now is more oil to process. Let me go grab some and be right back with y'all. Okay, I take it back. Actually, we pumped all the oil out of there and into here, and I did try a comparator on the refinery, and it didn't work. So I knew this, and I just totally forgot about it while I was recording. But we're gonna end up having this full of oil at all times, and when the tank runs out, that's when we'll shut the system off. But we'll still have 16 buckets worth in the refinery itself. So for the moment, I just broke the redstone so that the thing will run, even though normally it would be at a shutoff point here. Okay, so I haven't changed anything else. We are at 99, 102, whatever, depending on where you look. That says 99. That says 102, 103. Way up there it says 98. So very, small difference. But it's doing the thing. It is processing the oil, and you can see them popping into here. Now this is going to wait until it gets 100, and then it will process to the next level. These need to be 300 degrees Celsius, not 90 or not 100 like the refinery, and you can see we are achieving that with 2.5 bars, and we are back down to just the 2 speed upgrades, 2 in my inventory, 2 in the liquid compressor, and we're still warming up a little bit. So one of the things I tried to do was balance, so this gets about 300, and this gets about 100, because it's pretty easy to add too much pressure to one side or too many vortex tubes to the other side, and suddenly one thing's not hot enough and the other one's like super hot. But this should be pretty good. Here we go. We're transferring, and that pumped out up to here. So now we have some gasoline, and that pumped out. Well, actually, that's going to both pump out here and auto eject up there. So we get a little bit of gasoline down into here. I can't remember if I had that one auto ejecting. And I did want to switch you to pull, or push mode, I mean. Oh, that was not right. I was trying to hit the, where'd it go? Oh dear. I was trying to hit the pipe and I missed and hit the compressor. Where'd it go? Oh, it's all the way down here. Good grief. Anything else pop out? No. Alright, alright. Let's put it back together. Here we go. And, no. There. We got turned around. And again, I'm getting a little weird frame rate lag, which I haven't been getting in the past, so that's kind of freaking me out. Alright, so we need to put you back down, and you need to be pointing this way so that you're outputting pressure to the front. And now we want you... Oh, wow. There. Pipe. Okay, we want you to push, which should... It would seem like that would help it like suck gasoline in, but I'm not sure it actually does. Alright, well, we're probably too cold now. Yes. So let's grab another bucket of gasoline to kickstart it one more time. And this should be net positive on gasoline. So once this gets started, we should not have to feed it any more gasoline ever again. We just feed it oil. This thing starts up. That's not hempcrete. And runs until we run out of oil, and then it shuts down. So here we go. 20 to 60. We gotta wait for it to warm up again. Let me just speed it up. Oh, right. The speed upgrades popped out, so there's that. Okay. 1.7, 1.8. What I was saying is you can actually generate pressure too fast. Yeah, see, so notice if I put these in, it's 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. When I take them out, it's actually going down slightly. So we're right on the edge. You can actually generate pressure faster in here than you can output through your pipe. And you get a differential. And this guy can go all the way up to 5 or 10 or 20, while your pipe is not actually that high yet. So you got to watch out for that when you stack speed upgrades. Okay, I think we're doing all the things. The only one left we were trying to look at was plastic. Ah, right, we need coal, which is either in this one. Yes. Alright, so for plastic you need to feed it both LPG, a little bit of heat, and coal. So once I put this in here, we'll see that little arrow pop up and show us how much heat it needs. There you go. So that's not to the 300 that the others need, but plenty hot to make plastic. And right now its output is not hooked up over here, but the idea would be pop that on there, and then this will start comparing and say, oh, we got plastic up, or liquid in there. Comparator should now, yep, start outputting some signal, and that will get us, yeah, right now we're at power 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're not quite shut off yet. And again, we're empty over there. That's why that one's turned on. So we wouldn't quite shut it off yet, but once we get a little more plastic in there, then that'll actually turn the system off, and we'll say, okay, we're done for now. So if we fill up on plastic, we turn off. If we run out of oil, we turn off. The only thing I can't do is figure out how much oil is actually in the refinery, but that's really not a big deal. It's just an extra buffer that if we ever really wanted it for something, I suppose we can just do that. Last thing I wanted to mention, and I'm not really sure where I'm going to put these yet, is extra storage. So these tanks do 16 buckets each, and I can run the comparators on them. So that's good. And they can retain their liquid when you pick them up and move them around, so I can take them out in the world, fill them full of oil, and bring them back here. However, I kind of like some more storage than that, and what do we got? Mechanical pipes. This is kind of cool. So your basic mechanical pipe has a capacity of, it says a capacity of 1,000 millibuckets per tick, but it also means this pipe will actually store 1 bucket of liquid. So if you have 4 of these, then your pipes will store 4 buckets of liquid. That's not much. That's not much if we want to use it for a tank. But if we go to advanced, it goes up to 4. If we go to elite, we get 16 buckets per pipe. And if we go to ultimate, we get a full 64 buckets in a single pipe. So that's 4 times bigger. 16? Whatever. It's bigger. Yeah, 4 times bigger than the open blocks tanks. More than 4 times bigger than the 14 bucket portable tanks. So what I want to do is actually use some of those elite or ultimate pipes probably here, because I could store 64 buckets of oil in that. Actually, no, because we're going to check that to see if it's empty. So I don't want, it's got to be above this. We want to only have this empty out when we're really emptied out. But we could also use that to store more liquid plastic as well. Oh, and I didn't hook it up. I'll do this off camera because I know we're already pretty long here. But we're going to actually pop into the ceiling and pump the plastic out of here and over to there, which is kind of annoying, but these do support microblocks. So I can do microblocks and make the ceiling or the floor of the next floor look just fine. And the last thing we're going to do is, this guy needs coal, and it goes through it pretty quickly when you're processing a lot. So I'm going to take a logistical transporter. That's the one we want. I don't have one on me, but I'm going to run that around the back here and pop a chest out here, or honestly I could just put it right back there somewhere. I didn't find a great place for it, but anyway, pop a chest back there somewhere that I can right click and just fill that sucker up full of coal, and that'll keep this going for quite a while. Okay, well that's it. I've been talking so long I'm starving. It's time for me to go and do things in real life as well as get some nourishment here in game. I think this is pretty good. One last thing I'll mention: security upgrades are just because what if? In fact, these vortex tubes will basically take all the pressure you can give them, and will just get hotter and hotter and hotter, and use more air and more air and more air. So this guy can go all the way up to 20 bars, but it's never going to get there, right? Because we've only got 2 speed upgrades in here, and you can see we're pretty much stable. Yeah, we're pretty stable at about 3 bars. So it all works out. It's fine. There's really no need for a security upgrade at this point. And yeah, we're perfectly stable right now, actually. Just right on. So with the 2 speed upgrades, the refinery's hot enough to process. Actually, it's pretty good. It's even above it, so it processes a bit faster. And that actually came when I put these blocks on to insulate it a bit. And this is, 357, so it's pretty nice and warm and ready to process as well. So that's it. We are now officially out of oil. So let us hook up the redstone and turn off the system and stop burning the gasoline. Yeah, we're not quite net positive there, but in my testing it is net positive. I think we put 1 bucket in and we're obviously a little low, but we were running when there was no oil in it as well. So once we get all set, it should basically just go. You just put oil in there and you get plastic out of there, and I'll pump it through the floor, I guess, and put the plastic mixer. I think actually what I'm going to do, I'll move it back one probably, but I'm just going to pop it like this. And if we need plastic from up here, we can right click and get it. If we need plastic from down below, it'll be up in the ceiling, and bam, we can get it from there. So that's it. More pneumatic crafting, so we can pneumatically craft all the things. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. This took probably more hours than I should admit to figure all this out. The heat and pressure and fluids and how they all interact with each other. But this is much more simple and a bit more compact than the last couple of tries I had. And I think this is it. I don't think there's anything else I want to do to this at this point. If you guys, oh, there is one thing. If you guys know how to move this in one without using an OR gate, again, I can't run redstone right here because it turns and it won't connect. But if I use the blue power OR gate, it kind of derps out and doesn't always work. So I don't want that either. So if you got a good idea for that, let me know. Maybe we could do it with like the block and the redstone torch or something. Maybe I'll experiment with that. But I'd like to get the wall back here and fix that. Other than that, I think we're done. I need to go get some oil after dinner and things. That's it. I'm out of here. Catch you guys later.